right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the HNHR podcast. This is your host, Ricky Baez. And man, it really is good to be back in the mic. It's been a couple of weeks. I know we're trying to do this show every week, but there's just so much work, which again, I'm not complaining. I'm happy about it, but there's just a lot of work going around. But today's episode is really good. Not that the other ones suck, but this episode is good. Here's why. There's no it's no secret that I spend a lot of time on TikTok. Actually, I've made it a part of biaskill learning where I can communicate it's not communicate, but just put out all kinds of content about the right things to do in HR, the wrong things to do in HR, and I send it out there from both an employer's and an employee's perspective. Well, I mean, in my regular browsing of TikTok, I came across this one account, and this is the account of Tiffany G. Let me tell you about Tiffany G. I came across her account because she put some content out there about her dog. Her dog, where she had a long life with the dog, and unfortunately, the dog got sick, and then she had to put him down, and that resonated with me. Because, as you guys know, about a year and some change ago, Honey Pie passed away, which is my dog. She's a poodle mix, and she's been a part of my life for about 12 years, 12, 13 years. And I thought at some point that we did have to, I thought we had to put her down because she was just slowing down. She wasn't running around. She wasn't eating. She wasn't going to the bathroom. She was just there. And if anybody has a pet that goes to the vet, knows that when your dog stops doing the normal activities of life, then it's time to start thinking about, or at least having the conversation about, what is the best next step for for your fur baby. Yeah, I just said fur baby. It's okay. Anyway, so I thought we had to do that with Honey Pie, and we got to a point where that we were about to do it, and a lot of different thoughts and feelings went through our minds. But then one day she just sprung up and she started running around, and it's like nothing ever happened, which I'm thinking, thank God, because I didn't want to have to make that call. And then short time later, she passed away on her own. So anyway, back to Tiffany. The reason I found her story, it hit me, is because she did not have that option, right? She had to make that decision that was in the best interest of of her fur baby, and I understood that. And I just reached out to her on TikTok. I just explained to her that I went through the same thing, and my heart goes out to her. And then we started talking, and then I found out she also lost her job in that same time frame. And man, what a one-two punch! But in talking to her, it was a breath of fresh air talking to her, because even with she having to make a difficult decision of putting down her dog and having to be let go, and being a brand new mother and all these other things she has to do, I mean, it really takes a toll on a person. It really does. And anyway, we just started talking, and I'm like, I gotta get her on the show, because this show is all about perseverance. And I'm not gonna say anymore. Let's just jump right into it. Um, Ladies and gentlemen, this is Tiffany. Check it out. Tiffany G, how the heck are you, sister?
I am good. How are you?
I'm doing pretty good, pretty good. And look, it's I know this is a topic that may not be a topic that's on everybody's mind, right?
Mhm,
But how you and I connected was because you put several stories on your TikTok account about what you was
mhm.
going through, right? And then you and I started talking, but I think it's better if you tell the story on what you put on TikTok and how we connected. So how did we connect?
I had lost my dog, and I had taken a video of my dog and I, like, her kind of like last moments, and I was really hesitant on posting it because, it's TikTok and you just never know, but
Yeah.
I just wanted to share kind of how awful it is to go through an experience like that, and,
Yeah.
nothing can prepare you for it. And that kind of blew up.
I saw
Um,
that.
yeah, I'm like, that
Yeah.
kinda just, like, blew up. I was like, it was really unexpected, but then, I had that, and I think that's kind of how we, met. And
Yeah.
then, right after that, I had actually made another post about, just being like laid off from your job and just, losing a pet and just how like life sometimes can just get you right,
Yeah.
when you least expect it. So,
And and I saw that, right? Because I'm
yeah.
a regular visitor on TikTok, right?
Yeah.
And I saw that and I reached out to you because I'm like, look, it's I know how it is to lose a pet. And I know some people listening right now do not understand this, but I'm gonna say it anyway.
Yeah.
A pet, it's like your child,
Yeah.
right? And then I used to have a Shih Tzu poodle mix. Her name was Honey Pie. She passed away about a year ago, and that
Yeah.
hit me, Tiffany. I got to tell you that hit me a lot harder than what I thought it would. But it's with you. Not only did you lose your baby, but you lost your job as well,
Yeah.
right? How was that?
It was really rough. Because it was so unexpected.
Yeah,
I just think that I I think like now I understood like the bigger picture of like why it happened and
yeah,
everything like that, but it was just kind of a crappy scenario that led to it without like, a warning or anything like that. So that sucked, because especially I'm someone who like has a family. I don't, I'm not someone who like lives with my parents and I don't have rent. I have bills to pay, I have things to do,
yeah.
um, and a life to keep up with. So it was just really unexpected and it really sucked. So yeah.
And I and trust me, I saw that. I saw that
Hmm.
on the post. And you know what? And for someone like me, because I'm in HR, and
Hmm.
unfortunately, I've had to orchestrate thousands of these in
Yeah.
over 22 years. So, from my perspective, I mean, it's look. At the end of the day, we're all human beings. But from my
Right.
perspective, it sucks putting something like that together. But then business is business, and
Right.
I rarely get to see the opposite end of it.
Right.
And that's why your story resonated with me, because not only did that happen, you lost your baby. And my thing is, it's how did you what did you do to keep your head above water? Because that is a lot to take in, right? And with everything
Yeah.
happening these days, and look, I don't know if you've seen the news, Tiffany, since the beginning of the year, all these organizations are laying people off left and right. So
Yeah.
what did you do to keep your head above water emotionally?
Honestly, emotionally, I feel like I really just like confided like in my husband,
Yeah,
and just more like my close friends around me. And I think that you need to kind of be able to communicate those things
yeah,
and like let it go and vent to the people who understand you the most. And I think know what you're capable of,
yeah,
And I think that once everything kind of happened, I just had the right uh support group around me to be like, you're better than this. Like things like this happen all the time. Like this is normal. And
yeah.
it's not like a you thing. It's kind of just like this is life, and it doesn't define me as a person. And I think that was the biggest thing I took away from it. I was like, if I was 20 something years old, I probably would have felt a completely different way. But because I'm not and I'm 30 and I'm just in a better place in my life, I'm like, you know what? Okay.
Yeah.
Like, it doesn't define me. This isn't like the end of my life. So I'm like, all right, like we just have to pivot and move forward now or try to.
I mean that's I mean it's now correct me if I'm wrong. From my perspective, that I mean that's easier said than done,
It
right?
is
And I know you
100%.
looking back, you feel that way, but what about during that time?
Hmm.
What about right when it happened? I'm pretty sure, and sorry and sorry if I'm coming across pessimistic, right? But I'm pretty
No,
sure
no.
because that your mind went to a dark place, right? And then I'm pretty sure
Yeah.
there was a point that you're like, okay, nothing is sacred.
Yeah, I mean, I think like during that time, it's really hard when everything happens as it does
Mhm.
after another because I think that when it comes to a point where okay, like you're laid off, you're let go from your job, I think then you just start questioning like who you are as a person and like
Yeah,
what is it that you have to offer and is it enough? And at that point, I think that I was like, well, what is it that I'm not doing right? Or
yeah,
what is it that, and I think that when things happen in your life, experiences like you change experiences. Oh, I don't want that to happen again. So I change who I am as a person so that this doesn't happen
mm,
again. But, you know, it's not always perfect. And
yeah.
getting to where I am now, being like, okay, like I know what I have to offer. I know who I am as a person, but why was that not good enough
Yeah.
still? So it's a lot of like I think, reflection on yourself, just being like, okay, so what did I do wrong this time? Or what could I have done different? And then I think a lot of the times it's like, maybe it wasn't just that. Maybe it wasn't just me. Maybe this is just a sign that I need something different.
Yeah.
And it sucked because I cried. I was upset. I went through the motions that you go through, of losing a job, being angry, and like, but I think like now where I am now, a couple weeks later, I'm like, okay, like maybe it was a sign
Yeah.
and things happen for a reason. But losing my dog right after that, that felt like the biggest like it was like a second stab in a way, because it was like I understand losing a job, getting laid off. I was like, but I just lost like my first child in a way.
Ugh.
I lost her. And
Yeah.
that dog has been with me through everything, and um when I got her, or when my husband and I got her, that's when we started dating. Like it was our
Oh,
first
it's a
year
symbol. It's a
anniversary.
symbol of your relationship.
Yeah, so like my Boston Terrier, she was our 1 year anniversary like
Yeah.
gift. We're like, we're getting a dog, like we got a dog, and that dog's been there through that. We went away to college, came back, got engaged, got
Yeah.
married, I had a baby, and
A
she's
human
been there
baby.
through all that.
A human
Yes,
baby.
a
Yeah.
whole
Okay.
human
Got
baby.
it.
Yes,
Got
yes,
it.
yes.
Now,
So,
now you, it takes, look, it takes a backbone for that to happen, and then you putting it on social media, because
yeah,
what I saw in a humongous, a huge wave of support. I
yeah,
also saw some negativity there. I saw some people
yep,
shooting you down, and
yeah,
it's people never ceases to amaze me when it comes to that perspective. Like, wow, people can be mean. I mean,
yeah,
I mean, I think I know the answer to this question, but how did that make you feel when people started calling you out? Because I think I read
yeah,
somebody that said, and I think you highlighted it, that you wanted to
yeah,
get attention, which is
yeah,
ridiculous.
yeah. I think the biggest thing with social media, as far as I'm trying to understand it more, is that once you put yourself out there and you're vulnerable, like it's just a platform for whoever wants to say whatever they want,
Yeah.
and it is scary, but what I take from it is I got a lot of support that I didn't even realize I would have gotten from losing my dog,
Yeah.
or or losing my job. And that outweighs the negative. People will always want to say what they want to say. And at one point I was like, oh my god, like someone I think called me like a narcissist because
I think I
I
saw
don't know.
that one.
Yeah,
Yeah, I think
like
I
it was
saw
like,
that one. Yeah.
you
Yeah.
like want like all this attention, like you're a narcissist or something like that. And I was like, okay, like you already feel this way about me. I'm not going to sit here and I'm not going to keep
Yeah.
trying to change your mind as to why. Like this is
Yeah.
already said, this is done. It is what it is. And go ahead. But more so, I'm like, I can't navigate all those feelings. And sometimes I'm like, just let it go.
Yeah.
You don't need to comment back because it's just not worth it. I'm like, I did it because I knew more people would relate with me
Yeah.
on, that, then I'm here for attention, I
So
guess. So,
so now that you've said it, you put it out there. Did you
mhm.
find it? Do you compare to see if you would have felt better if you just never posted it at all? Or do you feel better even with the negative people on there after that post?
um, I don't regret putting it on there
Yeah.
because I mean, to share like my dog and my experience like with her and like her last moments, I just
What's her
know
name?
that like
Oh, what's her name?
Mindy,
Mindy?
Mindy,
Mindy? Okay.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
To share like my moment with Mindy is is a beautiful thing to me because Mindy
Yeah.
had such a beautiful life. Like, so sharing it, I was very hesitant about sharing it because it was something so personal to myself, my husband, like our family. So that was what I was very hesitant about. But I just shared it because I was like, you know what? Yes, I'm grieving my dog, but I don't also need to do it alone.
Mm.
And I knew there were a lot of people who, yeah, who've probably been through this, or, have a Boston Terrier and love that dog more than anything. But I was just like, you know what? It's okay. And the good outweighs the bad. So I'm like, you know what? Go ahead. Just be negative. Hi, Argo.
Oh, I see somebody popped up. Who is that?
Yeah,
Who is that?
it's Argo. Come here, Bubba's.
Argo. So
Say
for those
hi.
of you listening in the podcast, and it's I'm gonna have this on YouTube, but somebody invaded her space. I see you're in your
Yes.
closet. I see your background. That's awesome. And
Yes.
then
Come here, Bubs. This
how
is
old?
Argo.
Oh, look at him. Look,
Say hi.
see, I
Woo.
love it's I just I I think it's I don't understand, and I mean I guess I should. I don't understand when people say I'm not a dog person. I don't get it.
Yeah.
That part does not compute to me. I know they are out there. I know. I almost said I completely understand. I don't understand. I don't get how somebody can say I don't love dogs. They are some of the most loyal souls out there. And I don't know how
Yeah.
can anybody go through their entire life without experiencing the love that they can offer.
Yeah, and, like, for me, I grew up I was really allergic to dogs growing up, so I didn't
Really?
have any pets,
Oh
yeah,
wow.
because of how, like, I used to break out in hives and, like, my eyes would get, like, all puffy, so I
Yeah.
really couldn't have any dogs growing up because of how allergic I was to them. So it the reason why it was so hard when I lost Mindy because Mindy was my first dog,
Yeah.
So she was my baby, and I mean, it's always hard losing a pet no matter what, 1st,
Yeah.
5th, whatever, but that hit different because I was like, "That's my first dog, like,
Yeah.
that's my first baby." So, and I remember coming home and looking at my husband, and I'm like, "I don't know if I could do this again." Like, I don't know how we do this. Like, we take a chance on loving an animal so much, and we are their world, and they are ours, and there's just one day you're like, "Ugh," you have to make,
Yeah, you
unfortunate
do.
decision or things happen, and you're like, "Oh my god," like, your heart shattered all over again. Like, I was like, "I'm not made for this."
I had to wait. I had to wait. Honey Pie passed away October of 2022, and
Yeah.
we got a new dog. My wife kept pushing for it, right? She kept pushing. I'm like, I can't. I'm
Oh,
not ready. I'm not ready for another one,
yeah,
right? And then
yeah.
next thing you know, she comes home with our newest one, Copper. Copper, who's
Uh,
actually part of my organization. He's actually an intern over at
I
my
love that.
consultancy firm. Yeah. And he's about to be 10 months. Actually, he's 11 months old. He's about to be
Mhm,
11 months old. So it took me a while. We got him last November. All right.
mhm.
Just a few months ago.
Yeah.
And I never thought I thought I wasn't ready. I was wrong. Right. Now he annoys the crap out of me, right? Because he's still in his infancy stages.
It's
He's
little
still
puppy stage.
yeah. Let me tell you, look, I'm 46, Tiffany. Okay. I don't have the energy to keep up with this little jackrabbit over here, but I'm glad
Yeah.
he's here. I'm glad he's here. And it gave me a different energy. So let me ask you this, because it's you said something about a support system, and I believe a good support system is just as important
Mhm,
as anything else. So you said that you had a conversation with your husband as soon as everything
mhm.
happened. What how was his reaction to everything?
I mean, the one thing I will tell you about my husband is that no matter what the situation is, he is like the light
Mm,
to everything, And we sat, we spoke about it, and, ultimately he was kind of like, this is crappy because it's January, it's a new year, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, yeah, because at the end of the day, like we got bills, we got things to pay for,
yeah,
of
we do.
course.
Yeah,
But, you know, the way that my mindset is and like his is like, okay, like, but we're gonna figure it out. Right. Um, but it's hard, it's hard watching, I think, your partner go through something like that. And
yeah,
especially because he knew how much of a risk it was for myself to leave the company or corporation that I had worked at previously to take a risk to work at a small business.
yeah,
So he's like, you worked so hard to be where you are for this to happen. And I was like, yeah. And that sucks. So it was hard, but there's nobody else I would rather sit there and be like, let my guard down, be who I am, and be like, okay, like this happened, than like my husband,
yeah.
because he will be like, okay, so like, what are our pros and cons? Like, what could we do here? And I'm like, all right, like, yeah, like, what are our
He's
pros and cons?
analytic. Got it. So he's just systematic. So did he bust out
Mhm.
an Excel spreadsheet to kind of compare and contrast?
No, but he is very good at just being like, "Okay, so, like, this happened, this happened.
Yeah.
Okay, but, like, you wanna do this instead, and, like, you're very good at this, so, like, you should keep pursuing that." And I'm like, "You're right. You're right." Like, he'll always be the push on, like, things that I'm like, "I don't know," like, and he's like, "Tiffany?" And I'm like, "Okay."
All
Like,
right.
"Alright."
So it's good to
So,
have that support system. So let me ask you
yeah.
this then, because there's a lot happening in the workforce today.
Yeah.
There's a lot of different organizations that are laying off, and you know what? And this is the time, right? Sometimes the
Mhm.
pendulum goes too far the other way, and then comes back the other. So what are three tips? If you can give me some three tips you can give people out there, especially the ones who are going with similar circumstances that you went through recently, and
Mhm.
but they don't have that support system, because there's a lot of people who don't have a husband. There's a lot of people who don't have just friends in general, right?
Yeah, yeah.
And they're loners. It's what advice do you give them in a similar situation?
So thank you. I'm sorry.
It's okay.
He, like,
I get
hears,
it.
like,
If I
the door, and
wanted
I'm
a
like,
treat too right now, I'm not gonna wait, Tiffany. I'm sorry. So it's
he's
I
like, "Give me the treat."
all
Um,
good.
honestly, it's really hard. A lot one thing I've done is it may sound weird, but, like, if I were to give somebody advice on things like this that happen, like, it's okay. You know, jot down how you're feeling,
Mhm,
write, I would say write things down, journal them down, because a lot of the times you go through, I think, phases when things like
mhm,
this happen. So it's like the upset, the not understanding, like the confusion, but then there comes like the anger, the frustration, and I'm like, "You know what? Write it all down. Read it back to yourself, and find yourself at a place where you're like, "Oh my god, like I'm reflecting on how I felt on all this, and this is how I shall move forward." It's like reflect, but don't hold yourself there.
mm,
Reflect, and then write how we are going to move forward, and plan it out. Um, and even if that means, getting a calendar, like I have a calendar that I jot like okay, so like I would like to have like this deal done by like this date, plan out what you kind of want to try to do next. What
mm,
is next for you? What are your goals, your aspirations? And I think that was like a really big thing. It's like, I don't see myself there forever.
yeah.
And I already knew that. But what do I want to do next, right? Because life still goes on. So you need to find the joy, what brings you joy to move forward.
Okay. Gotcha.
Um, let me see. And even if you don't have like friends or a spouse, but even it's so random, not even random, but like I called my parents, and they were kind of the last people I wanted to talk to tell them what had happened because I
Really?
think they worry.
Oh,
Yeah,
got it.
because
Got it.
they
Okay. Yeah.
they're just a very like they just worry,
Yeah, I
as
get it.
parents do.
Yeah.
And I just didn't want to them to be like, "Oh my god, like what's she gonna do?" But I told them, and honestly, they took it like better, I think better than I did. And they're like, "It's okay." Because they're like, it's not you have so much potential to do
Yeah.
more, and even if you need to find somebody or I don't want to tell people to like post your feelings on like social media or do something like that because you never know what you're going to get with social media, but I just felt like I did get a really good response to things that were happening in life. And like, I do feel like I gained a little bit more of a community of people who were going through the same things. And they were
Yeah.
like, I'm sending you prayers and blessings. Like, God has a good plan for you. What's in store for you, like next? And I was like, yeah, you're right. You are right. Like, I know I'm better than like what I had. And I know I'm capable of more. So I think you just need to believe in yourself too.
No, no, I get it. So let's talk about that. What's next for Tiffany? What are you working on right now? I saw the stuff that you're putting on TikTok. And
Yeah.
before you say it, are you into baking now? Are there cookies out there? Because I saw that and I'm waiting for somebody to invent some type of an app that you could smell things through online.
Oh,
They look
man.
good. So what are you up to now?
So funny story, I went to culinary school, so I do have a
Oh,
degree in
okay.
baking. So I do a lot of baking on the side for like friends, family. Um, and I've just been baking. It's just fun. I love it. And I do like a lot of the fun decorated sugar cookies, but
All right.
I do that, and lately I've just been doing a lot of content
I
creation. So I
saw
just
that.
reach out to
Yeah.
brands, I do videos for them, and it's super fun because it's just things that I like to do. So, anything with like beauty or fashion, lifestyle, because I'm like, my life isn't perfect, but like, I have a 1 year old. I have, my
Yeah.
life is chaotic, but like, I make the most of it because I believe in being authentic with it. I'm like, I
Yeah.
don't need to sugarcoat anything. Like, this is my life. This is how we live it.
No, no, wait. I need a sugar cookie. You said you need to sugarcoat. I need a sugar cookie. I want one right
Yes.
now, actually. So I'm
I'm gonna
expecting
have
one in the
to
mail, Tiffany, just letting you
I'll
know.
have to send one. Yes, no problem.
One? You talking
Oh,
about, have you seen me?
I'm sorry. I'll send like
One.
a dozen. I'm sorry.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you. There you go. Come
You're
on,
right.
now we're talking. So,
Oh gosh.
okay, so how's that going? That's going good. Are we
It's
going
going
to see
well.
you on the Food Network in a couple of years? Or how's that
Oh my
going?
God. I don't know. Oh,
Did you? So she dropped her camera, and I think everything
ah,
dropped. Are you still there? There you go.
yeah. I swiped the screen. Sorry, guys.
You're good. You're good. It's
No, I don't know if I'll be on the Food Network, but I do enjoy just baking for
yeah.
fun on the side. I like have always loved it, but I like found more, I think, more excitement out of doing like baking cookies and like just more artsy in that way. I'm not used to, but I still do like cakes and like things like that. But that's just like where I'm like, okay, these are like my things. I bake cakes, I ice them, I decorate them, and I do sugar cookies and like great, But like every now and then I'm like, we should make some brownies. We should do this. We should do
See,
this. You know,
it's you're talking. This is getting better and better by the second
it
because
gets
now you're talking
dangerous.
about brownies, right? And now I want a tall
Yeah.
glass of milk with a nice go.
Hmm.
See, now I'm hungry. Thanks. So
Yeah. And sometimes that's how it goes. My husband and I will be home or like watching a movie at night and we're just like, that would be good. What? Brownies. And I'm like, I think I
so you
have
said
everything.
So you said watching a movie at night and brownies. You just everybody who's a health nut who's listening right now, their head exploded. No, you're not to have sugar at night, which I don't care, right? Whatever.
Right.
If if the time calls for it, look. If I'm watching a really good like Disney movie because I got a kid now, right?
Yeah.
He's 11, and
Yeah.
we watch all kinds of movies, and the time strikes for either peanut M&Ms, popcorn. I don't know what that happened. Popcorn and or brownies. I don't care what time it is. We're doing it. So I'm with you there.
Yeah. I mean, I think everything is fine in moderation. I will never sit here and be like, yeah, we made a whole pan of brownies and we just like ate them up. But everything in moderation. Yeah, people will say what they want. You shouldn't eat sweets on it. You shouldn't eat this, or you shouldn't eat past this, or you should fast. Do what works for you. You want to
Yeah.
have brownies? Get your brownies. Get them.
You know what? Thank you for that, right? And I think that's a good closure to the loop because you're right. It doesn't matter what's happening in the world. Don't pay attention to what's happening in social media.
Yeah.
Things are not going the way you want to. You do whatever makes you feel good,
Yeah.
regardless what everybody else says. That's why I'm glad when those people were being negative to you, you called them
Hmm.
out on it and you continued on. And that's
Yeah.
what I want people to do. And for everybody out there listening, and this is the whole reason why I wanted to do this podcast, right? Because again, it's mental health is something that's near and dear to my heart, and I know
Yeah.
social media does not help with that. It just
Right.
doesn't, right? Especially when
Yeah.
people put stuff out there. So for those of you out there who feel the need to just constantly just completely destroy people's world on social media, just folks, think about it. Just think about it. You don't know what kind of battle that person is battling. You don't know
Yeah.
if that is the straw that broke the camel's back, where somebody does something irreversible. I'm not saying you would do something like that,
No,
but
no,
it,
but
it
yeah, you're right.
it's always a good idea to talk about it. And
Hmm.
those are and Tiffany, those are the people that worry me the most, right? In my 22 years in doing this, I've known of 5 people that have made a decision that is irreversible. And
Yeah.
it I can't even compare my feeling that I had as their HR professional to their families, right? But it still
Yeah.
hurt, right? I know the person, and
Yeah.
it's one of those things that I'm like, what could I have done more? Could I
Yeah.
have done more? And I want to leave everybody with this. If you're out there at work and you see somebody that even if they're smiling, you could tell when there's a struggle behind the smile. Check
Hmm.
in on them. You know, Cindy from payroll down the hall that everybody hates, check on her. Right? Check on
Yeah.
her, make sure she's okay, because regardless of how she makes people feel at work, she's still a human being and she deserves to have somebody to talk to.
Yeah.
So, so that said, Tiffany, so you said one thing. What are two more things? So one thing is journal, right? What are two
Yeah.
more things that people can do to help get over that hump when life just hits you with a one and two? What are two more things?
Um, if I was to say another thing to help get over the
Or just one that just really stands out at the moment? Because I got one. I'll throw it out there for
um,
you.
I don't know. I think you really need to open up who you want to open up to. I think venting and really getting it off your chest about how you feel. I mean, I say like, yeah, write it in a journal, but that's
Mm-hmm.
just kind of for you to look back on, you know? But like when it comes to talking to people, obviously be careful with who and how you express yourself to
That's
certain
true.
people because they don't care about your interests. But, you know, when it comes to the right person and you have someone to do that to, it feels really good to talk, to be heard. And
Mm-hmm.
I think that's a lot of one of the things is that people just want to be heard. And people will say like, I'm listening, but like it takes a real person, friend, family to sit here and listen to you without interruption and anything like that.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and that's like always my biggest thing. I was like, I just wanted to be heard,
Yep.
you know, and it's tell like my side, you know, and how I felt during these things because does not anyone care about how I feel or how what's going on, you
Right.
know? But yeah, I don't know. I mean, I guess that would be another one.
So I'll throw this out there.
You
It's
say it.
so
Tell
I'll
me.
throw that third one out there for you then, right? Because
Yeah.
first one you say journaling, second one you say be heard, and the third one, and I mean this, folks, from the bottom of my heart. Just
Mhm.
do not forget about self care. Do not
Yeah.
let anybody make you feel self. Don't let anybody make you feel bad for looking out for yourself, right? Do not forget
Yeah.
about self care. Do you want to take that vacation on your own? Go ahead and do
Go
it.
ahead. Yeah.
Business leaders, and this is a big one for me too, for business leaders, do not force employees to call out sick only because they're sick, right?
Yeah.
And here's what I mean by that. What I mean is that sometimes leaders create an environment where that when somebody needs a mental day, right? But they need
Yeah.
to be sick, right, for them to call out. What I'm telling
Yeah.
leaders is don't just give your employees, create an environment where your employees feel good in calling
Hmm.
out because they need a mental day. Don't make them feel bad about it, right?
No,
Because
yeah.
because everybody's been in a situation where you're like, I just can't deal with this today. I
Yeah.
can't deal with this today. I'm not gonna do it, right?
Yeah. You're
So
like mentally checked out, you know, and it's a real thing. I think it's very easy to brush that off and be like, well, the way that I was raised, like we didn't have mental health back then, or this wasn't, it's like, no, like we did, you just ignored it. Like, you know, there's a difference. Like, you know, and I think now as like time has gone by and like being a manager and understanding that like life happens for a lot of people. Like if I had lost my dog and someone told me that I needed to go to work the next day, I probably would have been like, no,
yep, that's right.
how dare you?
Yep.
Because it's like you don't just, you know, everyone deals with things differently. And I'm not going to sit here and be like, well, don't go to work. Like I would probably still go to work because that's the type of person I am. But I should know that it's okay to not go to
To
work.
not you have the option. You don't feel compelled one way or the
Right.
other. You go to, because some people, everybody grieves differently, right?
Yeah. a
And
hundred
I've seen
percent.
people grieve by coming to work. Now,
Yeah.
I've seen that happen before, and I'm like, look, is
Yes.
this really what you want to do? Because Cindy's
Hmm.
here, right? She pisses everybody off, right? And so,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
so, I mean, I'm joking there, but it's leaders should create an environment where employees have the option
Yeah.
to grieve the best way
Yeah.
that's right for them. That's right for
Yeah.
them, right?
But I think that's also with like having also the awareness because that also comes with being aware and knowing that. I think. I mean, to me personally, like as a leader, knowing that like, hey, this happened. This person's on the schedule tomorrow. Do you think she'll show up for her
There
shift?
you go. Or better
Like
yet,
what?
how about this? How about this? Instead of asking, do you think she'll show up? There's this new invention, Tiffany. I don't know if you've heard about this. It's called a telephone, right? People can pick it up, right?
Hmm.
And dial a
Hmm.
specific sequence of numbers. Somebody else will pick up on the other end and just freaking ask them how they're doing. How's everything going? Is everything
Yeah.
okay? Don't wait for the employee to call out sick. Tell the employee, look, how much time you need? Let me know how
Yeah.
much you need. You need a couple of days. Cool. Stay home. Don't let me
Hmm.
catch you opening your laptop for
Right.
anything, any reason other than to take care of yourself. That's what a
Right.
leader
Right.
should be able to do. So,
Yeah. And like I said, I'm like, yeah, it's like awareness. So like,
yeah.
yeah, you're looking at that schedule. You know who's scheduled tomorrow. You know what
Mm,
happened. Are you also taking the extra stuff to be like, just in case, maybe we'll call so and so in. Maybe they can just work that shift. You know what
yeah,
I mean? It's
I
just
get you.
planning to like make that person feel like my job isn't just a job. Like they understand me as a person,
Yeah.
and my time.
Can you
And I think
imagine? Hey, folks, that's real. Those jobs exist out there, folks. Trust me.
it's just there's real people who exist out there and who understand. And
That's
it's a
right.
shame because I think that, we as managers, you look at it and you're like, okay, well, this is policy and procedure, and you want to follow policy procedure, but it goes to an extent
Yeah,
of like, do you want a staff or do you not?
that's right.
Like, do you want people to like you or do you not?
Oh, gee.
To an extent.
And you'll be
To an
surprised
extent.
how many
Yeah.
leaders still get that wrong. Still get that
Yeah.
wrong. I say it in class. I say it in all my classes, and I say it here. I've said it for years. People are gonna tired of hearing me say it. You need three things to be a good leader. You need a backbone, and you need people skills. Right? Those people
Yeah.
skills are
Yeah.
important. So,
Yep.
all right. So, Tiffany, that said, thank you very much. I really appreciate your time.
Thank you.
How can people follow you on TikTok and follow your baking adventures? Because trust me, I'm gonna be stalking. I'm gonna be
Yes.
waiting for the sugar cookies. How can they get a hold of you if they want to connect with you on TikTok?
If they do, my email's in my link. I also have my Instagram up there. So I'm
Got you.
typically on both. And I'm always on my email. So yeah, definitely reach out. Questions, I got you.
Excellent. All right. Well, again, thank you very much for your time, folks. Have a good one. Well, folks, if that doesn't tell you what it means to persevere, what it means to keep on track, regardless of what kind of obstacles get in your way, then I don't know what will. So I want thank you to Tiffany for sharing her story with us, and thank you for the time she spent here on the show. And it reminds me, and it reminds everybody, folks, just be kind. Just be kind to people. You don't know what kind of battle that person you're talking to is fighting behind closed doors. You see a smile on their face, but you never know what's happening behind the scenes. And that said, I wanted to remind everybody that this May 7th, I'm going to be the MC at the second annual Mental Health Forum sponsored by Go Sherm here in Orlando, Florida. That is going to happen on May 7th. That's just in a few months at the Guidewell Innovation Center, 6555 Sanger Road in Orlando. That's over here by Lake Nona, 32827. Tickets are still available. So go to goshrm.org. That's GOSHRM.org to get your tickets. I'm going to be the MC. Keynote speaker April Simpkins is also going to be there, and there's going to be a lot of different sessions talking to you about how to incorporate mental health strategies into your everyday culture. So, fun stuff. Go ahead and get your tickets. So, folks, that said, it is about that time. Thank you very much for listening. I really appreciate it. Go ahead, hit a like and subscribe. Let us know how you feel about the show at your favorite podcast portal. Thank you very much. Have a good one and drive safe.